This is the unsolved disappearance of Melinda Borden. The disappearance of Linda still remains an unsolved mystery. Over 100 years ago, oral history has been told by the elder, is that Melinda Borden was an unlisted passenger above the Titanic. She was traveling as a personal caregiver and with an independent European contractor. Of course, we must listen to the elders. Just listening to the elders lets you take a journey through their minds. And it's like walking through a library because they have ancestors' knowledge, because they have old untold stories. This is Black Titanic. Hit that like button, share, and subscribe. You hear that? Because you want to lead. And no, you're not compatible. He's a male chauvinist. He feels like he's superior and women are inferior, you guys. All he looks at himself as being positive, but everything else is negative in the marriage because, it's negative in the marriage. Everything Kimmy do is negative. He told her, how you gonna leave, bruh? Bruh, how you gonna leave? You can't even give me a pillow to lay down on my head. How you gonna leave, bruh? You don't even have a house to stay in, bruh. How are you gonna leave? Bruh, you don't even have a penny to rub together. How were you gonna leave?
That she had to leave. Not that she wanted to, she actually had to. If she didn't leave, who was going to leave, So she said that she didn't really want to, but if you're going to take the lead, then brother, you're going to have to be a good ass leader because I've been leading, right? So I understand that perspective. And I think that strengthened the dynamic because with the understanding that she's a leader already, that means that you have to be on your P's and Q's about your decisions. Now, mind you,
Marie said to find any decision, he gonna listen to Kimmy, he gonna listen to Kyle, but he makes the final decision. And he makes I don't understand how you can make any decision when you don't bring nothing to the table. Nothing to the table. Decision should be mutual, but when you're dealing with a chauvinist, you are inferior to me. You are definitely an inferior partner. So anything that goes on in this household, I solely make the decision. And we saw that, y'all. We saw that decision when she was sitting out there on the porch in that rocket jet crying because she had no say so. When he wanted to bring Kyle and his son, he just brought him on, regardless that woman said she didn't have the energy to start raising another child because she knew that this man right here was not responsible enough to raise his son. It ended up on her. Now Kimmy wants him to leave. She's sick and she needs for him to leave, but he's not gonna leave. He's not, because he thinks that's just the way his household's supposed to be. Even her illness haven't made an impact on him to lead in this household. Even her illness haven't made an impact on him to raise his son, you guys. No. This is certainly imbalanced. This is an imbalance in household labels. The mental work that he puts on this woman, he puts on this mental work on this sick woman and the son too. Now the son just following the dad lead. When she told him to go out there and rake the leaves, and I think he said, "What you telling me for?" or something like that. And then she went to dad and Maurice didn't back her up. No, that's a mental thing. This young man is treating her just the way he saw his daddy do it. That's how he gonna treat women. Man, he is a male chauvinist, and the male chauvinists do not carry his load. He don't care how overwhelming it is for Kimmy. He's not carrying his load. Only thing he want to do when he want us to think of him as being this male, this great male, because he talk about his sexual needs all the time. That's where he put his manhood at.
Decision that we have, there may be some clashing of decisions, but it has to be a sharp. You have to think your way through these decisions, you know. And all my decisions, even the ones that come on TV, they can be challenged, you know. The whole thought process of bringing Kiowa down here so that I can raise my son was one that, oh my God, I never thought we were going to get that kind of blowback behind that decision. But you know, everybody says what they do. You know, every woman says, I really want my baby's dad to have a role in his life, or I really want him to do whatever for his kids, until he's really to do whatever for his kids. That was a
Yeah, but you know Kimmy can't count on you for support. No kind of support. Not even for you to even just to speak to your son to make him obey. She can't rely on this man for nothing. He want to lead, but she can't rely on him. She started off with him like that, and now she need to rely on him, and she's not gonna get it. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. All these disputes we see that him and Kenny is having in his family, he's been like that. He's been dominating Kimmy in her own home. But it's just that they can't talk about Mel anymore. So now they have to bring it back to them. But I don't like them making making this boy his storyline instead of him. Man, you can't speak with this man, not no male chauvinist, because he say he don't care. His voice is the only voice that matters. Your feelings don't matter. And he won't even give Kimmy the benefit of the doubt for anything, because what he say, it's my feelings that matters, and all the decisions is up to me.
whatever type of decision, right? So
I see what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? You see the dynamic, and it's like, I'll pay for a whole house for me to have my son and raise him, if it makes it easier, right? That's one side of it.
Y'all hear that? He'll pay for a whole house. But you didn't. But you didn't. That's it. That's the reality of it. Don't be challenging our minds like that, Maurice, because we as a viewer, we know what's going on. We know who house this is. Man, if I would take a deep breath and just walk away, because this man is set in his ways. His personality is what it is, and it's never going to change. Here's the time that Kimmy need to rely on him, and he can't even step up to the plate yet. He say that he's a traditional man. A traditional man go above and beyond for their family.
The other side is when you look at a woman, and this is for just in general, in audience, whatever. Okay, if you look at a person, not just a woman, but if a guy, I'm looking at it from a guy's perspective. If a guy looks at a woman and it looks like $1 million is laying on the ground and everybody's walking past it, you kind of want to know, why are people walking past that? Right?
Mm-hmm.
At first you're like, is it really $1 million? And then you go over it and you start thumbing through the money, and
like
the next day you bring one of those testers and you start testing the money. This is real. After what, is this a setup? Should I pick this up? You know, right? Watching whatever, you're going through your mind like, why is this here? That's kind of the way I felt when Kimmy, like, she got to be either crazy. There has to be something that's going on. Why is this so good and it's not off the market?
You know why? I don't know why, but I don't know why she chose you. But I know one thing. She had unreasonable expectation when it came to you. She probably felt like she could change you. She could mold you into what she wants you to be. That's why she sent you to school. She sent your butt to school. That's why she thought she still was gonna mold you. And you still sorry. This is Carlos King interview with Maurice, and the fans are tearing him up. They not giving him Maurice no slack. You got Maurice ain't getting no. He's not getting no slack. No, no, no. So the sinking of the submarine, the Titan, that went in search for the Titanic, brought back these memories. I remember Grandpa came up to the Hardy Elementary School and located in Bessemer, Alabama. Yeah, he came to my classroom to teach the children about the blacks aboard the Titanic. And Auntie was a legend during that time. I became really popular. Everybody thought I was famous because the Titanic was famous. But anyway, where did she go? Why did she get up there from Bessemer during the Renaissance period, especially from 1910? So this letter it's from my memory, y'all. Don't ask me to prove it because I can't. I'm just going strictly by my memory. So we're just going to say this letter is for entertainment purposes only, but based on the true story. Melinda Boyden was a nurse, and her future sister-in-law, Ellen Jones, described the sinking ship. So I'm gonna tell y'all about the character. By the way, this is taken out of the book Black Titanic. Right here, Ellen Jones. She was her future sister-in-law because Melinda was engaged to her brother Ernest. But Ellen Jones could pass for she was white. She could pass for white because she was taken advantage of by the colonizer with her African American mother, a Negro mother. Her Negro mother. We're using the term Negro in here. Y'all, this is 1912, y'all. So anyhow, let's get on with the letters. So you got Ernest, you got Melinda, and Alexander is my grandfather. So, and that's Melinda's brother. Letter to Melinda brother Alexander Boyden from Ellen Jones, who was the Negro lookout person because she could pass for white. In other words, they would send her on the book, on the first, second class area to spy to see what was going on because the Negroes was in the bowels of the Titanic. You guys probably never heard of the bowels of the Titanic. That's just like the basement. It was hot down there. That's where all the boilers and heater was. That's where all the hard labors was. They call them the Black Gang because they used to take the coals and have to throw them in the boilers down there. Those big boilers the coal that they use for fuels. But before I go on with the letter, let me tell you how they ended up there. The Negroes ended up in the bowels of the Titanic, and they were called the Black Gang because it was a coal strike. And during the coal strike, none of the white laborers would go to work. So black men went to work and took their place. So that's how a lot of them got on the Titanic. They'll tell you that, blacks weren't allowed, but it was during that coal strike. And they would have lost a hell of a lot of money if they couldn't go or sail. So that's what happened. That's how a lot of blacks got on there. But anyway, let's start with the letter. As the boat began to sink and water filled the lower decks, only the white immigrants and poor white Americans was allowed to leave. Melinda pushes me through the screaming crowd. This is Ellen, y'all. Melinda pushes me through the screaming crowd, but I held back. I wanted to die with dignity as a Negro, an African, with my brother and friends. Melinda and the other Negro friends begged me to leave, yelling, "Who would tell our story as well as notify our families?" Now, the water was up to my waist, and while my Negro friends and I was trying to leave the bottom deck, the gate was locked, and in desperation, the males began to kick the gate down. Suddenly, the gate opened, and the white crew members began to shoot any black face on sight. My brother Ernest, remember Ellen is describing the scene. My brother Ernest shielded himself in front of Melinda and me, and white crew member shot him in the face. That's some cold stuff right there. At once, a big fat white crew member grabbed Melinda's arm and said, "You have to go take care of my wife. She's in labor." Melinda was screaming with grief. She was in shock. And as we entered the top deck, the white female was in labor. Melinda didn't hold her tongue. "You're the same people that killed my friends and the love of my life, and you mean you want me to deliver your wife's baby? You mean you want me to save your wife's life?" I heard the gun click, says Ellen. I yelled, "I'll help Melinda deliver your baby, but you can't stand over us with a gun to her head. You must leave the room." I yelled, "I want my nurse to go with me." So right now, Ellen is using her white privilege, and she's telling this man that, Melinda works for her, because he thinks she's a white lady. I heard the gun clicked. I yelled, "I'll help Melinda deliver your baby, but you can't stand over us with a gun in our head. You must leave the room." I yelled, "I want my nurse to go with me." Meanwhile, water was rushing fast on the upper deck, and you can hear the minigun shooting as well as smell death in the air. The man left the room, and Melinda never touched a woman in labor. Instead, she wrote a letter for Alex and wrapped it inside plastic and stuck it down my bra. As the boat sank, water separated. Now, the water was up to my waist, and while my Negro friends and I was trying to leave the bottom deck, the gate was locked, and in desperation, the males began to kick the gate down. Suddenly, the gate opened, and the white crew members began to shoot any black face on sight. My brother Ernest, remember Ellen is describing the scene. My brother Ernest shielded himself in front of Melinda and me, and white crew member shot him in the face. That's some cold stuff right there. At once, a big fat white crew member grabbed Melinda's arm and said, "You have to go take care of my wife. She's in labor." Melinda was screaming with grief. She was in shock. And as we entered the top deck, the white female was in labor. Melinda didn't hold her tongue. "You're the same people that killed my friends and the love of my life, and you mean you want me to deliver your wife's baby? You mean you want me to save your wife's life?" I heard the gun click, says Ellen. I yelled, "I'll help Melinda deliver your baby, but you can't stand over us with a gun to her head. You must leave the room." I yelled, I want my nurse to go with me. So right now, Ellen is using her white privilege and she's telling this man that, Melinda works for her, because he thinks she a white lady. I heard the gun clicked. I yelled, I'll help Melinda deliver your baby, but you can't stand over us with a gun in our head. You must leave the room. I yelled, I want my nurse to go with me. Meanwhile, water was rushing fast on the upper deck, and you can hear the miniguns shooting, as well as smell death in the air. The man left the room, and Melinda never touched a woman in labor. Instead, she wrote a letter for Alex and wrapped it inside plastic and stuck it down my bra. As the boat sank, water separated us. The pregnant white woman was washed away, as well as Melinda. I was washed overboard. I saw some records that I could cling to. So many black people was in the ocean, and so many Negroes was tossed alive and overboard. Many hours went by. Some Negroes were still swimming, but the rescue boats would just pass them by and pick up whites only. Then Negroes began to do for self, trying to get into the overloaded boats, but whites would kick them away. One white man kicked it, a male Negro. He grabbed the white man's leg and he flipped everybody in the lifeboat in the ocean. They drowned, except for the Negro. Hours passed. Oh man, I was freezing. I was freezing at near death, y'all. I was freezing at near death, watching corpses floating by, whites, blacks, children as well. I thought I was hallucinating when a big, strong black man grabbed me. A strong black man grabbed me. He pulled me on a homemade boat with all Negroes on it. Ellen, he called, where is Melinda and your brother? This is taken from the book, The Black Titanic, and Melinda was engaged to Ellen's brother. Okay, y'all, this section right here this is a book that I found maybe 11 years later after trying to research to find any book that would explain whether black people was on the Titanic besides me talking about it. But anyway, I found this book finally. This is from the first-hand account. This is the first book that came out after the Titanic sank in 1912, and I had never seen it before. You would never see other writings about what happened on the Titanic with the blacks that worked on the Titanic. Now I'm gonna talk about the wireless operator. I'm going to talk about the COD messages. And the reason I brought this in because tied to the Titanic was Glenn Bell Woods. He was a black inventor, over 60 patents. In fact, Thomas Edison, he had to sue Thomas Edison because Thomas Edison was trying to steal and claim his stuff. All them white people were trying to claim his stuff, but he held fast. He was bold. He won all his lawsuits. But anyway, the Titanic was using his wireless operator. He was responsible for the first wireless communication from boats, airplanes, trains, you name it, Glenn Bell Wood. Anyhow, let me just read this. This was the story told by the bystander afterwards on the pier. One husky Italian told the writer on the pier that the way in which the men who were shot down was horrible. His sympathy was with the men who were shot. They were only trying to save their lives, he said. Wireless operator died at his post. On board the Titanic, the wireless operator with a life belt about his waist was hitting the instrument that was sending out CQD messages warning. Struck on iceberg, say this was the warning message, CQD. Shall I tell the captain to turn back and help? Flashed a reply from the Carpathia, the other book, another boat. Yes, old man. The Titanic wireless operator responded. Guess we'll. An hour later, when the second wireless man came into the box-like room to tell his companion what the situation was, he found a Negro stoker. Say it again. He found a Negro stoker. Now, aboard the Titanic, another name for stoker is a fireman. They work the bows of the Titanic. Y'all probably have never heard of the bows of the Titanic. Let's just say it's the basement. But that's how the Negro stokers got on there. They had them on as firemen. It was a cold strike in 1912, and all the white laborers refused to go to work. They had built this exclusive, expensive ship, and they were not going to lose no money. So this is how all these black people got on the Titanic, because it was a cold strike. It was a strike. And they started hiring black people aboard the Titanic. So these Negro stokers, they worked in the bows of the Titanic, and they were shoveling coals into the big boiler. That's what they were doing. It was hot down there, and it was very hot. They were later named as the Black Gang. Also, you did have a few white Irishmen down there, but that I was told they couldn't take the heat like the black men, so they couldn't stand it down there. But let me get on talking. He found a Negro stoker creeping up behind the operator, and he saw him raise a knife over his head. He said afterwards he was among those rescued, that he realized at once that the Negro intended to kill the operator in order to take his life belt from him. Now y'all know that some. This man wanted a life belt. He was not trying to steal no life belt. And why would he have a life belt in the first place? Why would blacks refuse a life belt? That is the real question here, and that's what we're looking at. But anyway, let's keep on going. Let me read this over. The Negro intended to kill the operator in order to take the life belt from him. So they had refused to give the blacks aboard the Titanic life belt. The second operator pulled out his revolver and shot the Negro dead. And you know what? It's just something how this is so similar to what my grandfather was telling me. Moving on along, so the Negro was shot dead. What was the trouble? Asked the operator. That Negro was going to kill you and steal your life belt. The second man replied, you know what, this pissing me off. You know what, the nerve of them thinking that they would kill this man because this man wanted a life jacket, and they really felt like they were in the right for killing him. Thanks, old man, said the operator. The second man went on deck to get some more information. He was just in time to jump overboard before the Titanic went down. The wireless operator and the body of the Negro who tried to steal his belt went down together. So that's how they gonna say he went down as a thief for asking for a lifeboat.